Today's episode is brought to you by Bush's Fresh Food Market. Calling all foodies, Bush's is hiring. Are you passionate about food, looking for growth, development, and excellent wages? Come grow with Bush's and apply online at bushes.com/join our team. That's Bush's, BUSCHS.com/join our team.
From the Detroit Free Press, I'm Kayla Cockrell with today's Free Press Voice Briefing. It's Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. At 71, Lizzie Pugh thought the days of Jim Crow and getting bullied for being the only black kid in school in 1960s Alabama were far behind her, until she wound up in a Livonia bank with a fat check in her hand. The Detroit Public Schools retiree had won a 5-figure slot machine jackpot during a church outing at a casino and went to the bank to deposit it. But 3 white bank employees told her the check was fraudulent, Pugh said, and refused to give it back to her. Pugh still gets emotional when she talks about that April day. Only now she is armed with a federal lawsuit that she hopes will shed light on what she alleges was blatant racism by the employees at the Fifth Third Bank in Livonia. According to her lawsuit filed August 29th in the U.S. District Court, Pugh's check was good. She got it back after much persistence that day and drove to a nearby Chase Bank and deposited it there. Pugh was born and raised in Alabama against the backdrop of the Jim Crow era, where racism was tolerated, even celebrated in some parts, with children like Pugh being forced to live in fear and humiliation. Pugh moved to Detroit in 1971 at the age of 20. She spent 36 years working for the Detroit Public Schools, but then came the visit to the bank, and the old painful memories came rushing back. ITC Holding Corporation in Novi was again awarded for its continued wildlife conservation. In addition to this year's award, ITC now holds 14 WHC Wildlife Habitat Council conservation certifications. There is much to show within the 92 acres of ITC's headquarters, with 62 acres actively managed for wildlife. The campus features a 1-mile path for only employees to walk because of safety precautions. The grounds are maintained year-round under sustainable environmental principles like native planting, invasive species removal, wildlife trail cameras, and annual surveys to add to statewide data. The path goes through wetlands, woodlands, open green space, and a large pond. While walking the trail, there is lots to see, including native pollinator plants, bird, duck, and bat boxes, lots of wildlife, and a natural corridor that is very popular with bluebirds. The ITC corporate headquarters grounds are maintained not only by an ecological firm, but also through Master Gardeners, Ducks Unlimited, Michigan State Tollgate Farm and Education Center, Eagle Scouts, and the Girl Scouts of America. ITC owns and operates a good portion of the Midwest electrical grid, with 16,000 miles of power lines and several hundred substations.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Keith Matheny. As integral to life in Michigan as its lakes and rivers are its 20 million acres of forest, covering more than half of the state's area. It provides for a $20 billion timber industry and is vital to the tourism, hunting, and fishing that adds another $20 billion to the state's economy. But a warming climate, fueled by human fossil fuel burning, is transforming the Michigan woods, and scientists and others are working to understand how and if the forests will adapt. Recently published research by the University of Michigan's Peter Reich found that even modest warming of less than 2 degrees Fahrenheit caused a dramatic negative impact to the growth and survival of cold-adapted northern conifer tree species. And other research shows the peat forests, swampy fens prevalent in the UP and Canada, store up to 5 times the carbon of the Amazon rainforest. And warming causes them to change from carbon storers to carbon emitters, potentially accelerating and expanding climate change. Warmer winters will also cause more small, invasive insects to survive and spread, killing beech, hemlock, ash, and other trees. And more deer surviving the winter potentially means more feeding on small trees, thwarting forest regeneration. Efforts are underway to attempt to save northern tree species in some areas as temperatures warm, and to perhaps introduce trees from southern Michigan to up north that might do better there in the years to come. But as one researcher put it, those are all just band-aids without a major curbing of human-driven climate change itself.
I'm Kirkland Crawford with the Free Press Sports Department, and though Monday was a holiday, the major football teams around these parts hardly saw it as a day off. The Detroit Lions made a couple of roster moves, first bringing back quarterback Tim Boyle to the practice squad and, unfortunately, placing starting right guard Hal Vaitai on injured reserve. The 5-man front is thought to be a strength for the Lions this season, and will have to fill that spot with either Logan Stenberg or Tommy Kramer. Meanwhile, at Michigan State, Mel Tucker made it official. Linebacker Darius Snow will miss the rest of the season after a leg injury ended his season opening night early on Friday. Snow is the son of former MSU basketball player Eric Snow and the nephew of former Green and White Gridiron star Percy Snow. And with Michigan, it's still full steam ahead on their plan to start quarterback J.J. McCarthy Saturday night at home against Hawaii in what feels like a real race between he and last year's starter, Cade McNamara.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com.